Oh, hello there. I didn't even see you. But you made it for Workshop Wasteland Tricks or Treats day number 14. And I'm curious, have you subscribed to the channel yet? Did you like all of the videos, the other 13 that you could see? If not, go back and watch them. I think there's some pretty awesome information in there, especially for a hobbyist machinist like me. In today's video, I want to talk a little bit about silver soldering, or soldering in general. And I'm going to show you what has worked well for me, and in my opinion, what's probably going to work really well for just about anybody. When I first started dabbling with all of this, silver soldering was next to impossible. I simply could not get anything to work. No matter what I did, no matter what I tried, just wasn't happening. I couldn't get things to stick. I definitely couldn't get dissimilar metals to stick together, like say brass to steel or copper to brass or whatever the case might be. Just couldn't get it to work. Plumbing soldering is one thing. You know, you're sticking copper pipes together in your house. That's pretty easy to do. I think most of us can get that done. But silver soldering seems to be a whole different animal. With that said, what I'm about to show you, in my opinion, has been a game changer. I basically have zero issues with this from here forward. It works well every single time, which is awesome. So, I think most of us are probably familiar with some just typical regular paste flux. This is more of the plumbing world. But if you're soldering brass or copper, this works really, really well. I like to use rosin core electrical solder. Seems to flow better, seems to work a little bit better. And overall, I have great success with, again, when I'm soldering brass and copper. Seems to work quite well. I guess we would call that soft soldering. So silver soldering is where things get kind of crazy and a little bit different. This steel camshaft on this gear is two pieces that are silver soldered together, and the joint looks perfect. I mean, spot on, beautiful. Nice even flow all the way around. It worked out really, really well. Prior to me buying the actual good flux and good silver solder, there's no way I could have got that done. Soft solder probably wouldn't have held up, and silver solder is really what was needed to make this joint possible. So the silver solder that I found works really well is this Harris StaySilv 56. I didn't do a lot of research. I know they have other numbers. I think the different numbers are the different silver content and then also the temperatures at which it melt. So if you're silver soldering multiple things together, you may want to start out with something that's a real high temperature and then kind of work your way progressively down to something that's more of a low temperature, because you wouldn't want to melt what you started out with whenever you're on your finishing stages. So it'd be worth doing some research into that before you buy something, but I think overall general purpose, StaySilv 56 hasn't done me wrong yet. I also wanted to point out, when you're silver soldering, something small, you literally need like half of a grain of rice of this silver solder. So this stuff's pretty expensive. I think this may have been like 40 or 50 bucks for this, says 31 grams of silver solder. And that's pretty expensive in the grand scheme of things. But man, this is a lot whenever you consider how little of this you actually need to use. Like I said, like half a grain of rice is a good bit of this stuff. So don't waste it. Also found out that flattening it out, pounding it flat on something hard, will help prevent it from rolling around whenever you're trying to solder something. If you just have the solder sitting up on top of two parts that you want to join together, just pound it flat, and then it doesn't want to roll around, doesn't try and fall off. I bought this. This is Harris Liquid Stainless Steel Flux High Activity. This is supposed to be better for like steel on steel. I've not personally had this work well yet. It was pretty inexpensive, so it was worth a try. I've not given up. I'm gonna keep playing with it and try it on non-critical things. But I think in theory this would work better than this stuff right here. But this is the game changer right here. It's all about the flux whenever you're soldering or welding, and this flux is incredible. This is the white brazing flux, as they're calling it, again by the Harris company, and it's just called StaySilv. They also make this in a black. I'm not 100% sure what the difference between the black and the white is. I don't know if it just discolors or, it's specifically designed for a different kind of material. But This Staysil 56 coupled with this Staysil Flux, absolute game changer. Like I said, I couldn't get anything to stick until I switched over to this stuff. Both of them are a little expensive, but again, it's like a lifetime supply. I also read online that as this stuff kind of dries out and gets real thick in here, you can just mix a little bit of distilled water and bring it back to the consistency that it once was. I guess it is just water and whatever the other elements are that are mixed with it, but I think it may actually be borax if I remember correctly, water and borax. But regardless, don't hold me to that. I don't know that to be a fact. This stuff right here, though, an absolute game changer. Buying the MAP Pro, the yellow bottles of propane, they seem to work pretty well on a bigger joint. It works well. Seems to get hotter, but I think propane itself is actually hotter, or burns hotter, I should say. More BTUs, I guess. But that's worked really well for me. And then you can clean this stuff up really easily whenever you're all said and done. The flux washes right off with water. I guess since it's water-based, that makes sense. Doesn't seem to terribly discolor anything, and overall works absolutely fantastic. So if you're doing any silver soldering, without a doubt, I'd look into buying these two products. For soft soldering steel, I do use this regular paste flux pretty often. If I'm doing something, say, sort of temporary, just want to solder it together to hold it for the time being, and then I'm going to unsolder it later. The joy of that is it's not nearly as high of a melting point for regular lead-free soft solder versus the high temperature needed for silver solder. So check these two products out. I promise you won't be disappointed. They've worked fantastic for me. If they don't work for you, let me know. Maybe I'll give you your money back. Either way, give them a try. Thanks for stopping by and watching another episode of Tricks or Treats. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow in the next video. Thanks for stopping by.